and welcome to Josef's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much as always for joining me. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to like, follow or subscribe to any of the videos I put out there. Just put them out there where I can and I have a holly jolly great time doing so. Well, we are getting close to the 200th video and unfortunately it's all going to be a bit of filler not killer as the lead up goes on to preparing for that running session or whatever's going to be going on as we come to the end of 2025 and we'll move on to 2026 where I think we're going to pretty much complete the majority of landscaping in that year. However, because there's a few projects that we'll have to kick off in the new year, in the meantime though, I'm just going to come back and fill in a few little blanks where we can. And today's video, as you'll recall, we've been building Fawlty Towers. Now, I do not believe we're going to have the hotel itself finished before the 200th, so expect that in the new year. But we were busy doing the landscaping and getting it all starting to look right. And during that build, and for those of you that haven't seen it, there were several parts to the build, but I guess if we just have a look at the landscaping in the link somewhere in this direction, then you'll see we also did make mention of O'Reilly's truck. Now, of course, O'Reilly was the builder that Basil Fawlty seemed to choose to use, although Sybil Fawlty and Penella Scales just passed away 2 days ago from me shooting this, the one that did play Sybil. So rest in peace, of course. But that being said, we need to remember that Sybil would have used Stubbs, the builder, who knows what he's doing. But of course, Basil likes to save a few dollars. Now, in the episode, of course, we actually do get to see O'Reilly's truck, as can be seen in this particular picture here. And of course, we have references during the show up to and including that he's not a very good builder. Apparently, he was building a wall that was never complete. And as you can see here, we actually started to create a bit of a wall that hasn't been finished. And you saw during that Fawlty Towers build that I did indeed put O'Reilly's truck on there. And there was just a little bite-sized bit of footage during the making of that the video got a bit too long and I thought I'll do something else with it. So today's video, all we're going to be doing is having a look at what I did to create little O'Reilly's truck. And while I'm not 100% happy about the signage that's on it, at least it's a little something at the moment. We'll also have a look at those details you might have missed first time around that cross-reference back to O'Reilly, including the garden gnome. So let us get stuck into it now, shall we?
Right, so from that 200 GSM card that we had printed for some street signs and the rest of it, that's all over here drying nicely. And the Fawlty Towers sign is just here. So let's just pop this to the side for a minute. I just wanted to have a quick chat in this episode about the truck. This is the one we're going to use for O'Reilly's truck. In actual fact, the one that was used was a Ford Transit truck version, as seen in this picture here. And I did try and find one similar, but couldn't quite match it. Just to get more out of the scene, I did go for HO because it's enough, the distance away from the trains is enough that won't be an issue. And this just sort of seemed to match some requirements. We'll obviously use a little scrap piece of the scale model scenery type of timber, similar to these matchsticks that will probably have a few little straggly bits of timber sticking out of the truck. And we've also got some of our old cinder blocks or bricks that we're going to use somewhere near it that looks like it's assembling a wall, which in another episode was pointed out that it was never finished. I also have some garden gnomes coming as well that'll be featured on the one about Basil Fawlty was going to insert a garden gnome into him. Now, so we printed all of our signs and including the O'Reilly one on the 200 GSM card. Now that's a bit thick, I knew, for this truck. So I also just printed it on regular A4 just paper, which has worked really well, as you've seen on the Smith's truck episode, which will be located in a link somewhere around the screen here. So that's my plan of attack with putting this one together. We don't have a lot of room. I just wanted to make mention for those of you that didn't know, I did make it, and if we come in on a bigger shot here, this is the O'Reilly's logo I used, but I obviously had to manipulate it a little bit. So down at the sides, I can barely read it when it's on the door. And we're obviously just looking here. I sort of broke it up to put on the 3 panels of the side there. I put established 1969 because it's just funny, because 69, for those of you that know, you know. It's also an important year because that's the year Gwen Stefani from the rock band No Doubt was born. She's also still got a very successful career as well. So that's significant enough that I thought that matches kind of the era of what we need to do. So we're going to personalize this little truck. Now this Weeking brand is the same brand I've got for the Smith's Chips truck. I also have my BP tanker truck in the petroleum depot. And I think I've also got a tractor or something else. Oh, sorry, a fishing vessel actually in the coastal scene. So I've been quite happy with these particular models. And I'm very happy with the Artitech brand as well for other ones as well. Again, it is HO, but I think you can make this sort of stuff work. We're probably going to weather the truck, not much at all. A little bit when we get the stuff on the back of it. We'll keep it pretty neutral. Again, it sort of just seems like a builder's truck could be. I didn't want anything too vintage, too old, too American. It could have been a fraction newer, but I think this ticks enough requirements for the scene. So the process is always, we're going to cut out what we need, and then we'll just blob down a little bit of PVA, and I usually just take a Q-tip or cotton bud and brush it on to where we're putting it, and then set the sign in. I really don't know how this is going to go. Everything was made in one size, and already that size does look a bit big. But let's get the scissors and see what happens. As always, some truly terrible camera work from that. I also bumped the tripod, so it came out of frame. So I think what you can see here is I decided to put it on. There's a few, not ideal, but we're not really looking at the truck per se. It's just really in the background of what we're trying to do here. And as you can see on the other side, I kept it, neutral, so we can always turn it around to keep it in what we need. So basically just put a little bit of light wash to soften that down. Of course, if you probably look at the body of the truck, you'll just notice maybe a little bit of the black and the grime, not much. This is just watercolors. I'm probably going to come in later, I'll let this dry off, and then brush this up on the scene here just to break up the wheels and make it look a little more realistic in the most part. And just watercolors we've just used here, so various different browns, as you can probably see in the background what I had there, and a little bit of the sort of oranges, just a bit of rust to sort of create that. I think that back tailgate came out pretty well, and then we just scuffed it up. Again, we're going to have some tools and things. You're not really going to see it from that angle anyway. But I think it's okay. This should do the job quite nicely. So that's what we've done with O'Reilly's trucks. O'Reilly's Builders is what it says. In fact, if you come in really close, although let's just cut away to the original AI generated artwork, you can see how it didn't spell it right, and I snipped it apart to get what I needed out of it, and that's it. So as mentioned before, this is the scale model scenery. This is the LX107. This is the canal piling that was used, but basically the laser cut MDF sprue, whatever you want to call it. I think this is really, really good stuff, which we can literally just take the chopper get some nice little timber sections, look like planks or whatever else these builders are up to. That's a bit shabby, so we'll cut them down to size. Right, O'Reilly's truck. Putting this timber in the back. It's all good and well, but it wouldn't be sitting on a roof. So I thought we need a bit of a bar across the top. This is from our industrial piping kit, the Walthers kit. And then I noticed this little section up here. I've painted it both in white and silver, but the silver will do me just fine. So I thought we might be able to take that. I didn't see that one at the top. Yep. This might well just fit in the back of our truck. Pretty good. Need some glue for that. I'll put a few little blobs of that on. No one's really going to see it anyway, so. I was going to bring tweezers and thought I don't need them. So to everyone watching this video, just let you know that I need tweezers. Not necessarily these ones though. I don't think I'm even going to worry about weathering or doing anything extra on here. It's just not necessary. Let's leave this to dry and come back in a moment. My number one tip for using this glue, make sure it's the right way up. A few squeezes just to make sure you can hear that. It's nice and clear. Wipe off the top. Because I often use that tip to sort of push and move the glue around, but I haven't had a problem doing that. And for those that have all these methods about unclogging it and all the rest, and they're using pins and things like that, for me, I like to use, sorry, I had to find one, but usually when I'm using this stuff, I'll have them on standby anyway, but just any resistor will do, and that'll get it out nicely. So if you're using the Revel Contactor Professional glue, which is very good for the plastic and all the rest of it, by all means, a little resistor is perfect for getting it out. Now we've given that some time to set, that's in place, and he needs a couple of minutes. I'm not actually at the moment going to do much with these bits and pieces. I'm not gluing them in or anything like that. It obviously looks like he's got a couple he's about to be pulling out the back. And probably his lintel here that he's going to be, although it was a 6x4 or something, that would be sitting across the top on the rack. And I think if we come in a bit closer, I think you can kind of get the idea that that little rack looks quite the business and gives it that nice kind of gap sitting off of the roof, which is basically what we wanted. So again, the truck can go either way. If you weren't too happy because the sign writing on the side isn't all that great on this side, the whole idea is, I say, what's the deal with the truck? You should have done O'Reilly's. I can always turn it around one way or the other way to keep the crowd happy.
Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. And I do apologise if I look a little stroppy today and all the rest of it, and my hands look like they've been covered in paint. I have been painting, but nothing to do with the model railway room at the moment. So needless to say, that is going to do it for this video. It's just a little quick one just to fill in, and at least now you know the story on that truck. But we'll certainly look forward to coming back to Fawlty Towers as we're going to finish the hotel up and carry on from there. But as always, please do stay safe, and I'll look forward to seeing you in that next one. Toodles!